Welcome back to goldfries. This is the review of the Intel Core i9-12900K. I know I'm rather late in this review. Well, that's simply because, it was launched in November last year. However, I did not get any review samples, and for some reason, the samples never got to me even till now. I guess some medias are hogging it or something. Well, regardless, I bought this one myself, like for a bit over 600 US. It's a used unit. However, well, at least I did not have to bundle it with any motherboard. And I actually bought it last year in early December. However, due to my new job, I wasn't able to publish my review until now. Of course, I had tests going on, I had changes in mind, changes in the script or whatever else. Well, here am I with my review of the Intel Core i9-12900K. So for you guys who do not know what's the difference between this Intel processor and the rest, well, this time it comes with performance cores and efficiency cores. So if you browse Intel's product page for the 12900K, you will see that it has 8 performance cores, 8 efficiency cores. However, there's 24 threads. That's because the performance cores has hyper-threading, so it comes to 24 threads. So in some ways, it actually works like a processor that has 24 threads. Now, this is a very power-hungry CPU. Just running the CPU alone with my ASRock Z690PG RIP-type motherboard, and I did a blender run, and I can see the wall draw comes to about 340 watts. Now, based on my power supply, which is from FSP and 90-ish% efficiency rating, so the power draw is really some 300 watts, and that explains why it's so hot. My Silverstone 360mm AIO could just barely handle it. However, I switched. That's the PF 360 model. However, I switched to my Silverstone IceGem 280, and that one handled it better. Yes, I know it's a 280mm AIO. However, it has a better pump and better fans, everything better, so it cooled better. And I was able to overclock this processor to 5.2 GHz all cores. However, in order to do that, I had to disable the E cores. Well, I did not manage to dive into the full details on how to configure it because all these things are really time consuming. However, well, it's still a good experience, and I can tell you Intel really has improved a lot in terms of performance. Now let's look at the benchmark for games where I try to push the frame rates. As always, I'm using a line chart, so it's easier to see the differences, and you can see that compared to the 5900X with the same memory setting, of which I used 33600 MHz CL14 RAM kit from XPG, the 12900K beats the 5900X in pretty much everything, and I'm expecting the 5950X to not be far off from where the 5900X is. However, those tests are done at 1080p. That's where you see the difference even with the maximum graphics setting. So out of the games, I choose 3 other games of which I find the CPU influences the frame rate the most and tested them at a higher resolution. And as you can see, at 1440p and at 4K, there's really little to no difference. When it comes to multi-core tests like Blender, it's far ahead of the 5900X despite the supposedly same thread count of 24. So as you can see, the 12900K is superbly fast, and the price is actually between the 5900X and the 5950X, so the CPU alone is actually great value for money. However, CPU is not enough. You need a motherboard and a cooler to run it, and that's where the problem comes in. For a 5900X, for example, you can run it on an old B450 motherboard and it cools fine even with an affordable tower cooler. And however, you cannot do that with the 12900K. The Z690 boards are affordable. You can use DDR4, which is still pretty good now. However, this is a power-hungry system, CPU that is, and it requires a beefy cooler, so you'll be spending a lot on the cooler. And even for me, I managed to overclock this processor fine. However, I am very limited by the cooler. So my IceGem 280 from Silverstone, it has a limit. I can reach 5.2 GHz all core with some voltage adjustment. However, that's as far as I can go. As I do more benchmarks, everything heats up. it throttles a little here and there. So the next step up, I would have to invest in, say, a custom loop with a good pump, good radiator, and even stronger fans for just to cool these beasts. You can choose to not go the overclocking path by going for a B660 motherboard, which is very affordable. However, it's kind of a waste to feel that you have a K series processor and to use on a B660 motherboard and not do any form of overclocking. Overall, this Intel Core i9-12900K is still a super duper fast processor if you are an FPS snob running really high-end graphics card and just want to push your frame rates and like say CSGO, Valorant or whatever things. Yes, definitely 12900K is the way to go. However, if you are looking for value in terms of price to performance ratio, not just for the processor but the overall system, I'd say it tends to lean on the AMD's side. That's all from me for this one. Thank you for watching. I hope you found the video useful and informative. If you like more of this kind of content, do check out the videos at the side and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.